Hey guys, here at Righteous Rides headquarters, we serve missionaries all across the globe. And here today, we have Logan and Julie from Burundi. And today we're going to get an inside look about what impact they make. Let's get into it. What's going on, guys? It is so great to have you guys here today. If you guys could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you're doing.
Yeah, Ian, thanks. We're Logan and Julie Banks, and we're missionaries that have been serving in Burundi, Africa, for the past 9 years, and we're at Righteous Rides. I think we've used Righteous Rides each time we've been back on furlough, so this is, I think, our fourth time. So we're so appreciative of the ministry and happy to chat for a few minutes.
So you mentioned that you're here for a period of time. How long is that going to be, and what will you be doing while you're here, specifically?
Yeah, we'll be here a couple months, and for most missionaries coming back, furlough could also be called HMA, or home mission assignment, or home ministry assignment, because we're still sharing about the ministry. We're still sharing about the mission. Right now, this break is about 2 months, but sometimes it could be as long as 6 months, and so a lot of what we'll be doing is traveling around, meeting with our supporters who support us monthly to help us stay on the field, and or churches, and so one thing that's really great about Righteous Rides, we've been on the field for 10 years, and I will tell you, one of the big stressors for missionaries when they look at their time in the States, even more difficult than where will we stay, is how will we get around? Because it's, a few months, are we going to try to buy a vehicle that's so complicated and expensive, and just all the paperwork and all that just doesn't seem like a feasible idea, and to get someone to lend you a car for 6 months is hard too. So it's perfect to have Righteous Rides, because it's a vehicle that it's our own vehicle for this time that we're here. And we travel around a lot. We'll drive for a few hours and hop out of the car and then go and speak at an event or have meals with supporters, and then we come back to the car and drive to another place and get out. And so what I've seen over these years, kind of our quote home base while we're in the States, is our vehicle.
Wow.
And that's the place where we love chatting with supporters and telling them what God's doing, and and all these. But then when we get in the vehicle and shut the door, you can just feel because this space in the vehicle, this is our family space, and this is where we can be ourselves and relax, and have those family conversations just with each other to continue our ministry, sometimes continue the kids' schooling as we're driving, so having a vehicle has been such a blessing since we've been in the States.
That's absolutely amazing to hear. Thank you for sharing that with me. And you mentioned a little bit when you were talking about that, how you guys have been on the field for 10 years. I mean, that's a decade. That's a long time. Like, what impact have you guys been able to see physically while being on the field just in the past 10 years of your guys' journey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been serving in Burundi, and I'm a physician, and I work in a hospital there. And I think the hospital has gone through a lot of growth in that 10 years. I think that when I arrived, there were probably 100 or 150 beds in the hospital, and now there's well over 300, almost 350. So a lot of growth in the hospital and new buildings, and we're training doctors. We're not just seeing patients, we're also equipping and discipling medical students and physicians. And so we've seen, there's probably been over 350 graduates from medical school that have made it through medical training in Burundi. And just to give you some context, in Burundi, it's a very low resource country in Africa. And, maybe in 2010, there were maybe only 300 doctors in the whole country. So the number of doctors that have been produced has more than doubled in the country of Burundi. And then we started an internship program too. So that's like 1 year of extra training after medical school, to help a doctor get more well-rounded and more autonomy and experience on their own as they're progressing through to be out on their own serving. And so that there weren't any internships like that in the country either before that, so we started the first one, and we've had over 50 doctors make it through that internship program and are fully equipped to go out and care for whatever needs. And specifically in this hospital in a Christian setting, we're doing Bible study with them, and we're just modeling too, a lot of just praying with patients and how you do things in the training, medical training and teaching and stuff. And so they're equipped to care for the patient's bodies and souls and minds, and the full impact that they can have there. So that's the focus of our ministry for the past 10 years.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, I feel like that's a really key part of, completing any goal. You got to have a team that, not only prays for you, but also helps you in that journey to help you reach that goal, essentially.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to go out on the mission field or really to do anything alone would be such a challenge. Jesus sent his own disciples out 2 by 2, so they weren't alone, so they were doing this together. And, as for missionary kids, the more pegs they have in their life to be able to connect and to build a strong foundation, the better. And so we have a team there in Burundi, and while we're in the States, I would say Righteous Rides is honestly one of those pegs. It's one of those connection points for our family. This is a stop that we make, and this is the way we get our HMA started, is coming to Righteous Rides and getting our vehicle and getting prayed for, and those little things that the kids can count on throughout the years, because there's so much change, there's so much transition, but anything that we can have in their life that they know that they can count on is good, and Righteous Rides is one of those. So thank you.
Awesome. That's so cool that that's able to be just a help to you guys and your ministry, and essentially to help expand the gospel across the world and in Burundi. I'm so blessed to be able to just be asking you guys a couple questions, but as we're wrapping it up, you guys are going to be traveling back to Burundi after these 2 months. What will you guys be doing throughout that time period once you reach back into Burundi?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, we are in a bit of transition. So we're transitioning from Burundi to another ministry in Africa, in Kenya.
Wow.
So we're wrapping up the ministry that we have there, and we're going to be serving at a missionary boarding school in Kenya called Rift Valley Academy. So our boys are in high school now. They've grown up on the mission field, and now it's time for them to go to high school. And so we had to make a decision about that as a family. What does that mean? And so we've made the decision to stay together as a family, but to stay in Kibuye, Burundi, where we have been, would be really difficult because it's such a small place, and you can't really have the same high school experiences with whether it's sports and extracurricular activities and even academics and those things. You'd be kind of stuck taking online classes or something, and your friend group would remain very, very small, if maybe not having any people your age there at all, as opposed to living in a place where you have teachers for all of the different subjects and all these other activities you can be involved in. And so when we go, so we're only going to be in the States for a couple months, and then we're heading back to Kenya to get set up there at Rift Valley Academy. So I'll be working in the student health part of the campus, because it is a boarding school, and so there's maybe 400 or 500 students living there. And if someone gets sick in a dorm, they don't want to make the whole dorm sick, so there's a health center where they can stay and get treated and cared for. So I'll be working there.
Yeah, one of the big challenges for families who are on the mission field is, what about the kids' education? And so we've faced that question as well. And one of the solutions is a boarding school for kids in Kenya, which you mentioned, Rift Valley Academy. And so we've agreed to help them out and join that ministry in Kenya. And so, yeah, we'll be there as staff members, and I'll be teaching French while he's working in student health.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, that's a big change in a sense, but I mean, at the end of the day, you guys still have the same goal in mind, and that's to expand the gospel, equip other people, invest in them, and give the knowledge that you guys have been blessed with to other people. And that's just an amazing story that at the end of the day, it comes down to family first, and I think that's a really, really important thing, but ultimately, God's first at the end of the day, and we both know that. So
that's right.
Yep.
But thank you guys so much for joining me today and just coming in to be able to let me ask you a couple questions and learn from you guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's video. Next week, we'll have another video for you guys about what I do here at Righteous Rides headquarters. I'll see you guys next week.